Good evening once again, everyone. Welcome to our third board webinar. So we are excited to have you, and I believe or hope that you had a fantastic day. So once again, my name is Justin Cherito, and I'll be co-hosting this session alongside Celine. Yeah, our theme today is showing up fully, the bold move to be seen, to be heard, and to be felt. And this is such a powerful conversation. So, because in many ways, boldness is just another big decision. It's also about how we show up in our everyday moments. So, before we begin, just a few quick guidelines. So, kindly keep your microphones on mute unless invited to speak. So, make sure you use your chat functions to share your thoughts and questions throughout the session. And if you'd like to contribute verbally, please raise your hand. Yes, once again, welcome to our webinar today. We're really glad you're here. We're joined by three incredible women today, our panelists and authors of the book itself, uh, Bold Move. Yes. Uh, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, ladies. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon and thank you. I'll go first, and it's good to be here. My name is Esther Wamalwa, and I'm deeply honored to join you this afternoon, evening for this Bold Moves webinar on the theme showing up fully, the bold move to be seen, heard, and be felt. Just to say a bit about myself, I'm a governance, finance, and public policy expert with working experience for over 2 decades, spanning across both the public and private sector. And I am the founder and CEO of FinLead Global and a partner as well at Wamalwa Associates. And what we do is to work with governments, organizations, development partners, and startups to strengthen their financial system, governance structures, and leadership. What I'm just passionate about, and ensuring, especially for the startups, that there's sustainable growth in them. I'm a certified public accountant, and I'm a certified secretary as well, with a master's in finance and economics. And previously, I've worked as the head of finance in the private sector, in a the manufacturing industry. And then I was the CEC for Finance and Economic Planning for the county government of Ngoma for the period 2017 to 2022. But beyond the titles and the professional journey, I am a woman who believes in purpose, in courage, reinvention, and most importantly, impact, the impact that you are making in the spaces that you serve. And I usually believe that people don't lack potential. It's simply that they don't show up. They don't they hide behind their voices, and just they don't have the platform to showcase. And today I'm so excited to be here just to share the insights to and the lessons that I've learned through the journey. So I'm looking forward to insightful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. As we move on, Isabella.
Okay, sorry. Good evening, all. I'm so excited to be part of this webinar, and I want to thank everyone who's believed in us to come and hear our story. Our theme is showing up fully, the bold moves to be seen, heard, and felt. and it's been an exciting journey to co-author with incredible women. And just a brief summary of who Isabella is. I'm a finance and operation leader with over 10 years of experience across insurance brokerage, circles, NGOs, and membership-based organizations. And I currently serve as Finance and Operations Manager at Kenya Association of Travel Agents, where I'm in charge of financial management, governance, compliance, HR management, and also I oversee both regional and international conferences across East and Southern Africa. In terms of my qualification, I'm a certified CPAK, and I hold an MBA in finance and a degree in economics and finance, both from Kenyatta University. And I'm currently pursuing a PhD in finance at JKUAT. But then beyond numbers and systems, I work closely with SMEs by ensuring that they implement their financial systems, improve accountability so that they'll be able to sustain their businesses and have the resilience whenever there are any challenges. I'm also passionate, committed to support young professionals, especially young women, to embrace that ambition and self-doubt in their journey of pursuing growth and confidence, and just having that work-life balance. But then beyond titles and this technical expertise, when my real story on the bold moves, it goes beyond numbers, and that bold move that I took into leadership. And I've spoken a lot about the space that I've been put, where it needed not just the numbers, but that confidence to showcase my expertise, and also that require visibility, voice, and impact. I'm so excited to have that discussion today, because it's through that we'll be able to discuss the theme in simple terms on how we are able to understand on showing up fully. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I hope you're all well. My name is Lily Ann Wachira. I'm a labor economist and practicing HR professional. I run a HR firm, I Manage Limited, where we support SMEs, especially those that are African founder-led. One of the things that we will notice is that most SMEs normally do not outlive their owners. The minute the owner goes, the SME also goes, the institution. And we are really keen on ensuring that the perpetuity of an organization actually outlives the owner. I'm also a wife, I'm a mother, and a child of God. I'm really excited today to show up. And I really hope that we are all going to show up here. We will be seen, we will be heard, and we will be felt, because that is the theme that we have today. And on my chapter on bold moves, that is what I actually focus on. Not just about our professional lives, but also just in our personal lives as sisters, as children, as just community stakeholders. How do you show up? And sometimes it's not about climbing up in your career lives. It's also just the simple little steps that you make. So yeah, looking forward to this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lily, for those wonderful introductions. Let's get into the conversation. When you think about your journey, so what has been harder for you, being seen, being heard, or being proud?
I think with my journey, especially serving in public finance leadership and now in consultancy, um, I've realized the issue of either being seen, there are circumstances where you can be seen and not necessarily heard because of the situation or circumstances. And you can also be present and not be seen. What am I trying to say? It is all about the intentionality that you have as an individual so that you purpose that, yes, I'm in this room in my own right, and not necessarily as a leader, as a female, especially female leaders. As ladies, we always have that imposter syndrome in terms of we have to show up and show up properly. We have to be heard and heard correctly. But in this sense, whereby you show up and you know your leader, and you show up knowing very well you're showing up rightfully as a person who needs to be in that particular room. So it is about the person's intentionality. And also, what I have also learned over the years, especially like from a governance perspective, let's say if you serve on a board and getting, depending with the kind of chair that you have, you will see a circumstance where now the chair now just calls out a name. It's like, we haven't heard from Esther. Esther, what is your perspective? So you see, even if you didn't want to be heard, by virtue that your name has been called out, now it will give you that opportunity now to voice your whatever thing, your contribution, or whatever thing you needed to say. Thank you.
I'll just add and say that I also support what Esther is saying, that being felt, you have to be intentional. And when I reflect on my journey has been where, as an accountant, you're always doing the reconciliation, preparing of reports. And in most cases, those are the space that you are just seen but not felt. But then that doesn't mean that it takes courage for you to be felt. And I remember I can give an example that there was this time that we were doing an event in Zimbabwe. And we all know that when we do events, most of the cases, we usually have something has to happen that it has to be solved at the moment. And at this time around, it was a vendor who was providing us with the exhibition, and he had not come at agreed time. And the reason being it's because of traffic. It was just a night before the event, and at that point, the people who are waiting for the booths to be set up, these are the sponsors for the event. Also, we are keen on the room setup because by 9 a.m. we should have delegates ready and the room setup is done. And that meant that we'll have to sacrifice our night and also have to have a solution. And either the other option that we had to was to look for another supplier. Considering it's a foreign country, then we had to help from the local host. And it was a tough moment in terms of just ensuring that the sponsors, the rooms are set up, all the crises that were there were resolved. And later, when I went to the room at 3 a.m. and you're just seated and you're smiling because the room is already set up, and whereas the delegates sit in that room, they don't know what really happened. And when we get the question of what do you think about the journey of whether have you been seen or being heard or being felt? I would say that in that experience, the people won't know the process that the crisis that I was in, but the feeling that they know that this has been a successful setup has been was a good way of just appreciating my efforts. And I just reflect and say, I would give a comment on my chapter where I say that leadership is not about a grand gesture, but it's about the consistency of thoughtful action rooted in values shaped by experience and sustained in community. Why do I say that? For you to be felt, there is a process that you have to go through, and it's through that consistency that you have to always practice so that you are felt. So that's my response.
And I also agree with Isabella, and I also agree with Esther. Though for me, I think what I've struggled with has been being thin. I have no idea whether it has a lot to do with my stature. I am petite, so when you get into a room, until you speak and you give your views, there's always been that struggle. And I've even had situations where you deal with somebody on the phone for a very long time. Then the day they meet you, they're like, "Oh, you are so and so." And so I made peace with the fact that I cannot control what people want to see or think they should see. But what I can control is what I say, and therefore how I am heard. So yeah, thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you once again. Hearing really nice, interesting reflections there. So let's stay with being seen for a moment. So back to you, Isabella. You've spoken about stepping into spaces and owning them. So what shifted for you from just being present to actually being seen?
Okay. For bold moves required me to step out from behind the spreadsheets and use my voice for broader impact. And for you to have that being seen, I remember in the boardroom moment that we were doing a quarterly review with the CEO, and I was the youngest in the room, and all were men. And at this time, we all know that in our African setup, there is that in our boardroom moments that the women are the minority. And at that moment, the CEO asked the question, and at that time, it required my perspective. The room was silent, and it was that moment that I realized that it's through my preparation on the background that I needed to step forward into responsibility. Yes, and I was able to speak and propose a course of action. And through that, it sparked a conversation. Everyone agreed, but some voices also had shifted conversation. So I realized that in my journey, I had mastered excellence in silence, and I came to understand excellence without presence can still remain invisible. And here is what I also learned. Before the world ever overlooks you, you can learn to overlook yourself. I believe for years that hard work alone would naturally make me visible. It doesn't. Visibility is also internal decision to stop shrinking yourself from anyone else. And there is this something that I've lived by. You are not seen because you are felt ready. You are seen because the moment requires you. So that's my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you for that insight. I like the fact that you said hard work can also recognize you with the work that you've done. That's really something to take away. For Lillian, I want to bring you here. Before someone is even seen, there's usually this internal peace. Do you think people sometimes hide themselves before the world overlooks them?
That is actually indeed true. And one of the reasons why I think um, we hide uh, is normally the false evidence appearing real. Fear, false evidence appearing real. We are afraid. And I think it's an innate human reaction. If you go to the Bible, when Adam sinned, the first thing he did is hide. So it's in us. When you're afraid, you hide. He was afraid because he knew he had done something wrong. But sometimes we're just afraid because of the unknown. It does not need to be something that you have done. So for me, yes, do we sometimes hide? Yes, we hide before we are even overlooked, before people even know we exist. As Isabella has said, you can be excellent, but excellence and presence are not synonymous. You can be excellent in what you're doing, but until you are hard, you can actually just go and sin. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilian, for that. Uh, that was really an important point to note. Esther, from your experience, maybe you can tell us, is visibility always within someone's control, or do environments also play a key role? Esther, you've not muted yourself.
Sorry, I was just talking. I thought uh, I wanted to say another thing that as Lillian has said, is about not being sure whether you're ready. So that is usually like an internal conflict or a debate someone has in their mind in terms of am I really ready? Do I have the right content in the right context? Do I need more time to prepare myself? So that can really hinder. And in terms of the question you've asked about, I think you've asked about visibility and whether I didn't get the last bit.
Let me repeat it for you. Is visibility always within someone's control, or the environment also play a key role in it?
I will say yes and no. In terms of, at times, it's not within your control, but by virtue of maybe in the space you're in, then you will have to be visible. So it may or may not be within your control. So, and at times, because of maybe the space you're in, the position you are holding, you have to be visible in terms of their meetings you have to attend, there's feedback that you have to give. So that will compel you, whether you like it or not, to be in that space. Thank you.
That was really insightful. Yes, I think most of us as human beings we tend to not to be visible because of fear. Yes, that's really true. And hard work, excellence. Okay, I think we we lack words to put in that, but we tend to avoid such uh, such cowardness. Let me just put it like that. So this is gonna be a round table question. So let me ask this: is being unseen always something you can fix personally, or are there spaces that simply don't make room for us? And if we have those spaces, how can they evolve to create a room for people to show up fully? We can begin with Esther.
Sorry, I had just been logged out. Haven't heard what you've asked.
Let me come again. So this is a roundtable question, as I've said. So I'm gonna ask this. Is being unseen always something we can speak personally, or are there spaces that simply don't make room for us? And if those spaces exist, how can they evolve to create a room for people to show up fully?
Thank you. As I've said, it could be not be within your control. It could be maybe by virtue of the job you do. Like let me give you an example. As an accountant, when I started off earlier in my career, accounting work, finance work is more of back end. It's technical work you're doing. So you will not be visible in terms of in an organization, in terms of now what you're doing. But you see, later on, when I advanced and now I was the
Yeah, we lost.
From you, Isabella?
departmental meeting. So by virtue of the position you're holding, now you are able now to make yourself visible. And when we started off, we talked about the issue of visibility being intentional. As a leader, even when you don't have that platform, what is it that you do? Because environments really amplify. People, you might be doing a very good job, but just because people don't have that visibility, they might not know what you're doing. So environments are good because they amplify what you do. They give you a platform to showcase what you're doing. So in as much as possible, ensure the onus is on you to ensure that you're doing what it needs to be done to ensure that you're visible. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. You can take.
Thank you. Thank you, Esther, for telling us that the intentionality is still key. And I just want to add that when it comes to environment, I've been in environments where in those spaces, you have limitation because of either age and gender. And in those rooms that have been young and a woman, and there's that biasness. But that didn't limit me. I chose silence, and that silence was not because of fear, but it was because of just a strategy so that I go back and prepare on how to embrace it in future. And I would add and say that sometimes screening the room is very important because it helps you to access yourself on where to voice, whether you need to speak to make decision in that space, or you have to give, whether your contribution will give any rewards, or if you given your contribution, it will give it will have a negative impact. So what I've learned is the importance of just screening the room and accessing where to act. But then I would encourage people to not have the room reduce them, because what you need to do is, if you cannot fix the room, but you can choose which room to show up or which room to build yourself. And also what I've learned in my experience is, if in those rooms that I was not able to fit in, I have other alternative tables, and through those alternative tables, I'll mentor young professionals and those young professionals, they create spaces where they show and fight different battles that have been in. And I remember during our high school, our high school principal would always say, lie low like an envelope. And I think what she was trying to to instill in us was humility, but humility is not always weakness, because you can be humble but still visible. So that the question is, does this space make the room for me? If it's so, what can I do? Can I carry inside that room as a takeaway? So it's about your preparation, your values, and decision making, or those strengths that you have, that it always stays with you. And whichever room that you are in, if it's the right moment, then it's you to take up the space. If it's not, then you strategize for next. So it's a no and yes answer. Thank you.
I don't think I'd have said it better, Isabella. If you can't fit in that room, don't be reduced by it. Just move to the next room and create your own room. There is this thing that we have been talking about, or that in the corporate world, guys have been talking about. If there is no seat around the table, bring your own. Nowadays, you find even the door to that room that has a seat, that has a table that you're supposed to sit in, is locked. So what do? Get the next room, build your own room, and make an impact. And I think it also goes to the second question that Josephine asked. How can these spaces work to create a better environment? Again, create the room, then start mentoring others. Make sure that the next generation doesn't go through what you went through. Those of us who went through monolization, I am lucky I did not, but I hear those who went through monolization would always be monolized by those people who were monolized the previous year. And unfortunately, sometimes that's a safety that happens where, whatever I went through, you also have to go through it, and feel the pain that I went through. But why? If you went through a difficult time, just make sure the people you're mentoring, the people you're working with, if you're a manager, the clerks you're working with, make sure they don't go through that. Where I last worked, I worked for a first year bank, and I got lucky. I had a very good boss. I will mention her. She's the late Rosemary Gikimbi. She was a wonderful woman of God, and she walked with me. She walked with me when things were tough. She would tell me, you know what? I've been where you are. I wore those shoes, and I made it. Now she was a manager of an entire section. And so just getting people to walk with you matters a lot. And so if you've had people walk with you, then make sure you're walking with someone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was really insightful. I love all your points. So I love the fact that you mentioned that don't let the room to reduce you to being inferior. So just find your intentionality was also one of the points that Esther stated. You have to be intentional. The room can be, you can read the room and then you notice that there's biases and all that, but you have to do something about it. And that is being intentional about what you want. So you have goals, achievement. Yeah, so back to the room.
That was visibility for you, everyone. And as you all have heard, that sometimes visibility is within our control and also not within our control. It's a yes or a no. And it's your choice to stay hidden or to move out of that cocoon and show up and be seen. And as Josephine has mentioned earlier, our theme is showing up fully, to be seen, to be heard, and to be felt. So let's take it a step further, which is being heard. You can be seen, but you're still not heard. Your voice is not coming out. Your point or what you want to put across is not being heard. So I'll just pick it right up with Lily Ann. What does it take to move from having something to say to actually saying it?
So the truth is that first, actually saying something and being afraid even while you're saying it is normal. Again, I'll take us back to the Bible. Some of our famous patriarchs, Moses, when Moses was called, he told God, hey, dude, I am a stammerer. I am not going to Egypt. I can't talk to your people. Same thing to Jeremiah. When Jeremiah was called, he was like, oh, I am so young. You know, like Isabella, he's saying that she's been in rooms when she's the youngest. Yes, I am so young. Oh, and I don't know how to speak. And God tells them, you know what? I've got you. So just getting somebody to give you that confidence that you are able to do this, because you, as long as you're in your space, you have done what you're supposed to do. As Esther, I think, mentioned, you need to make sure that you have in terms of knowledge, at least you have built it in yourself. So you're not in that room by mistake. You're not in that space by mistake. So when you have something to say, all you need to do is just say it afraid. Just say it afraid. You will have your shaky voice to begin with. Yes, it will come out uncertain to begin with. But with time, as you keep saying it, you get that confidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily-Ann, for that. And I'll just add a quote onto what I've said. This is something I read from a book called Do It Afraid. It says, courage is not the absence of fear, but it is doing it despite the fear. And she has said, do it despite the shaky voice, do it despite being afraid, but that little confidence that either you or someone else has instilled in you will take it a step further. And let's just move right on to Isabella. In your experience, does being visible automatically gives you a voice, or are those two different things? And this is an experience from my end, because you're someone who is always in the limelight. You're always planning, you're always interacting with people. But does that guarantee that your voice is going to be heard in the spaces that you are?
Thank you, Celine. I know we've talked about confidence and preparation, but to the answer to the question, absolutely not. Because visibility, we've seen people who are visible and they are celebrated, yet when they speak, no one listens to them. So voice gets you the influence, and they are different muscles. And in terms of my experience, I remember during the COVID-19, at that time, most businesses were really affected. And at that point, there was scaling down, and scaling down meant that we look at the numbers, the sustainability of the business, and now evaluate, is the business able to pay the staff and even those other costs that needs to be cut down. And one of them was the salaries. And yes, I had already made the projections that showed that there needs to be a reduction of salaries. But then when you're talking about reducing salaries, that's people's livelihood that you're talking about. And that is not just writing an email. You have to have that one-on-one conversation with the staff and just explain to them the importance of letting them go. And even those that are remaining, what there will be also on pay cuts. So it at that point it required a whole sit down. There is a play of empathy where you just have to understand the person on the other side and just have a consensus on how to approach the situation. So yes, in that when you are speaking, it's not just about the volume, it's about the value and the timing and the confidence in contribution. And each time I choose to speak in uncertainty, my voice strengthens because it's being challenged. And I've also realized that visibility puts you in the room, but it's that voice that decides whether the room remembers you are there. Yeah, so that's my contribution. Thank you, Celine.
Thank you, Isabella. And I liked that you have used one example of a high stake situation where you are required to lay off people, and your voice had a bit of value and empathy that made them understand. And Also, you have mentioned that visibility brings you to the room, and that is correct. But your voice is what makes you stay. It decides your value in the table, in the room. And holding on to Esther in moments where stakes are high, like Isabella has cited, how do you use your voice when it really matters?
Over the years, I've sat in rooms where decisions to be made affect millions of people, whether in cabinet meetings or whether in boards. And in such scenarios, keeping quiet is costly, because now that will mean that, decisions will be made without your contribution, and could be very valid contribution. So over the years, I've developed a discipline of showing up, of preparing thoroughly, so that you have your facts, even if you cannot just voice and without being factual. So preparing thoroughly, speaking with clarity, and also just anchoring whatever you're saying to your purpose, so that there's an impact in whatever you're saying. And there are moments where even whatever I'm to say is uncomfortable in the room. And you don't want to be the person who just says, like so and so has said, or I echo what so and so has said. You must be bold enough to be objective and voice, even if whatever you're saying is uncomfortable. Remember, you are not in that room to be comfortable. You're there to contribute. You are there to make an impact. You're there to add value. And that is should be that's what should.
Just to make this a bit challenging or a bit fun conversation for us, let me pose a discussion to you, all the ladies and the audience that is listening into. Do you think people wait too long to feel ready before speaking up, before doing that bold move? And if you're listening in, have you ever waited too long to do something? Just say a yes or a no, and I'll read it out. Ladies?
I'll start off. Okay, I would say that that yes, for my case, I was guilty for years, because as accountants, we are always perfect, because our data is perfect, our slides are perfect, the balance sheet has to balance at zero. So we are always waiting for the perfect moment where we are ready, so that no one will challenge me. But over time, I realized that if you wait for that perfect moment, you won't be able to speak. And it's that moment that I went back to my foundation in terms of what my mother has been doing in terms of her business. And I realized it was always through her confidence to try out business and risk, negotiate for in our business, and just having that faith that a customer will come during the next day and from Monday throughout the years. So I think if we all wait for us to be ready, it's something that we would never then there won't be bold moves. So it's something that you have to develop, to just be confident, to step out of it and become better as we practice.
Nothing, it never works like that. Even when you start school, our parents did not start paying school fees because they had our school fees from nursery all the way to grade 8, like they had an idea. Or even those of us who are parents, you just pay every term, or for those who pay yearly, they pay every year. You don't pay for the next 4 years, So just being able to start small, even as you think big. that I think is a process of readiness. But yes, to answer your question, Celine, yes, people wait too long. And when you're waiting too long, the earth is moving and things are moving and people are making bold moves. Thank you.
And yeah, I actually agree with Isabella and Lillian. And let me tell you, I do training. But let me tell you, there's no single day I've ever said I am ready. You appear before this audience and actually you go blank. It's not like you don't have the knowledge. There's usually that stage fright. It is normal. And actually, I was really shocked that even these world-owned good orators, the Obamas and all that, they also have that. And they actually prepare. There's usually, just a good example, if you look even at our politicians, as they get into office, if you keenly look at their speeches, they're always stammering, they are not confident. But 2 years in, this person can even talk off the cuff. Why? Because they keep on talking, they keep on, that practice and all. So you cannot say that there's a time when we will be ready. But even as you prepare to be that ready, that boldness to show up really matters. And that is what will make a difference. Thanks.
Ah, that was such an awesome answer from you, lovely ladies. And what I've gotten is the general consensus is it's a yes. Majority of us take too long, I myself included, take too long to do something. It's built in due to perfectionism, the systems that have been set for us. Even when you're prepared, you still take too long. And Liliane has mentioned you're not a monopoly of ideas. And she's mentioned you can have one idea in 10 million minds. It depends on how fast you take action. And I'd also like it depends on how meticulous you are, intentional. Esther mentioned intentionality when we began. And let me just read two comments that have also answered my question from the guests. I had posed the same question to them. Mumbi Nairobi says, one of our authors actually, thank you for being here, Mumbi. Yes, there are times when I have taken a bit of time to make a decision, and it is perfectly okay. It's just you have to recognize it and work on it. Lucy says, yes, I have waited longer before taking action, mostly because of caution and uncertainty. But what I have learned is some waiting is useful for planning, which is a very, very good point. It can also lead to missed opportunities if driven by fear or indecision. And I cannot agree more on that. Thank you, Lucy Karanja. And let me just turn it up a notch a bit. Let me bring it to life. A real scenario question to the ladies again. Imagine Mary. She is in a workplace. Let's say it's a corporate sector workplace. They're in a meeting, be it a crisis meeting, a weekly meeting, a reporting meeting. She's in the room. She has ideas. She most likely has something valuable to add to whatever discussion is going on, but she keeps holding back. Now, to continue off with Esther, what do you think is really holding Mary back, or anyone that relates to Mary that is listening in?
With Mary, it's not even an issue of competence. You will find there are those internal negotiations that you have in terms of, am I prepared enough? Am I good enough? The imposter syndrome. And with that, it keeps on now holding you back, thinking you need to prepare better, you need even to prepare more for you to show up. And I think most people can relate to that in terms of, even when you're in a meeting, you had the right answer, but you cannot even answer because now it's like, is it the one? Is it, am I even thinking the right thing? Only for someone else to say exactly what you were thinking. So it is all about now thinking in terms of, are you wrong? Do you have enough that the information? Am I good enough? Will I going to to even say it well. And maybe just to share a personal example, I remember when I was working as the CC Finance and during COVID, Isabella has talked about it as well. I remember, COVID season was really tough. And, sitting at the helm of, the county finances, decisions had to be made quickly. And I will go home and realize, okay, was it right? Did I say the right thing? And imagine it is even after the meeting, but you're still having these conversations in your mind. Did I articulate that point right? You have this, so it's a battle that you have as internally, and that is what affecting me. Thanks.
Awesome, Esther. And you've mentioned imposter syndrome, which is hikey one of the many things that women go through a lot. And I really like using this example. It's a really fun one. You've had it somewhere that usually I'll use it to compare men and women, not necessarily. Usually, men, I'll use the simplest one. It's applying for a job. Usually, men only need 10%. If they see they have 10% of what they want to do or they're applying for, they will apply for the job. And for women, they need to have that 100%. So they either doubt themselves with things they can either learn on the job or just pick it up after a few days, but they will still look for the 90%, or they could have the 90% and will dismiss themselves just because of the 10%. And someone said to curb this, you also have to work with yourself. Something our generation calls self affirmation. So I'd also like to pose another question to you all. Do you self affirm? Do you prop up yourself in the morning at whatever time? But the morning is the best time to do it. So do you prop up yourself? Do you pour confidence into yourself? And if you do, tell me one thing you do to pour confidence into yourself as we move on to Lily Ann. And the fact that I've mentioned self affirming, it speaks in internal, it speaks coming from within. So, Lily Ann, would you say that it's more internal, or is it shaped by the environment, or both, to not have a voice? For Mary specifically.
Before we go to Mary, I think let's dial back just 2 steps back to
Yes.
your fun example.
Yes.
I can confirm as a HR and a recruiter that you are more likely to find John with just 10% of those qualifications, having applied for the job very confidently and asking for 10 times the budget amount for that job. Then you are likely to find Mary, who has 90% of the job requirements, and she will quote 10% less of what is required for that amount. So it's normal. It's something that we see, and I thank God for where we are at in terms of technology. That now you're able to go and find out from Glassdoor, this position, how much should I be asking for? Because I think AI is here to support women. If you ask me, it's not here to take our jobs, it's here to support. Now, having said that, would I say it's more internal, or it's environment, or it's both? I think it's both. And to just give you an example of, again, as a recruiter, one of the positions I enjoy recruiting for is anything legal. Meet legal practitioners, and there is one thing that is drilled into them from the time they do the undergraduate, is how to speak, because they have to go and represent their clients in court. So they are taught that as a subject from the word go. So if you compare somebody who's done an LLB, fresh graduate, and somebody who has just done any other degree, when they show up for a job interview, the eloquence and the way they articulate issues is normally very different. So in terms of that, then it becomes environment, But then again, if you think about those of us who were born, well, I wouldn't say BC, before COVID, people who are currently millennials, we grew up in an environment where we were told to keep quiet. At home, keep quiet. At school, keep quiet. You try to ask a question in class, wewe ni kimbelembele, keep quiet. You know, you're beaten. You're at home, you're told stop moshene, you know, keep quiet. And so by the time we're getting to work, we have had to work so hard, so much harder than Gen Zs, because Gen Zs have grown up, again, being vocal. They were brought up by parents who were told to keep quiet so many times that they decided, okay, fine, I don't want my child to grow up like me. And so they've grown up in a more liberal environment. So they're coming to the office and they are now questioning us. You know, salaries are late. Why are the salaries late? I know last week a client paid. Why am I not getting paid? You know, just this morning, we sent a regret to a candidate who didn't get the job. And they questioned. They were, can you give me the exact reasons as to why I did qualify for this job? So, yeah, so I think it's both internal because of the imposter syndrome, for those of us who are still working on ourselves, for those of us who still need to reaffirm ourselves every morning, and then again for the environment, depending on what kind of environment you're in. Thank you.
People in the workspace who are relating with Mary.
Thank you, Celine. I want to break the ground rules by just recognizing two important people in the room. Lucy Karanja was a lady that I mentored, and it's the story that I've written in the book. Thanks, Lucy, for joining in. And Daisy Nyamwalo has joined us all the way from the US. It's a great honor, and I would go directly to the question. And from Mary has valuable experience. So that means she doesn't lack content. So in terms of practicality, I'll advise Mary to look for ways to own up the space. Just the way in a meeting, when the meeting is closing, you say, I want to add something. At that point, somebody will have to listen to you and will get the 2 minutes. Since she has valuable contribution, then she can use even technical terms, like on the risk perspective, and everyone will have to listen because now you are coming with strong terms. But then also, so those are practical examples that I can tell Mary. And also I would want to just tell Mary that if she hesitated to speak at first, no one will ever give them the chance, because silence doesn't protect her. It will erase her forever, and no one will ever know her valuable experience. So some values are meant to be heard, and you don't have to wait for permission, because give yourself permission in that room. That's my take.
Awesome addition, Isabella, to what Esther and Lilian have mentioned. And if you are a Mary listening in, the key points are: do not self-doubt, speak up for yourself, and as much as environmental conditioning, as Lilian has stated, how we have been brought up or the spaces that have been created for us, do not stick to that one a specific mode set for you. You can always be the trailblazer. She likes to say, if there's no table for you, go make another table and people will join in. People will come to that table. You're making spaces for people. Or if you open a door, leave it open for the next person that is coming in. Be a trailblazer. And being a trailblazer, you having a voice, you being visible, you have to have impact, right? You have to make impact. And before we move on to impact, before we move on to being felt, I'll ask another question. So far, I have asked 3 questions. Number 1, do you ever take long to feel ready to do something? Be it making a decision, be it doing a bold move, or speaking up. You can answer that if you've just joined us recently. Number 2, do you self-affirm? Do you prop up yourself? Be it in the morning, be it any time of the day. Do you put confidence into yourself? And number 3, another question. Do you use your voice in any situation that you're supposed to use? So for guests, even authors that are in, kindly just tell me any of those 3. Do you do any of them? Now let's go deeper to being felt. And it's beyond visibility, it's beyond voice, it's about presence, it's about impact. People have to feel you. Now, let's just start off with Esther. What does it mean for you or for anyone to be felt, especially in their everyday life, not just in big moments?
Being felt for me, and it's good you've talked about, it's not about the grand things. It is about those small things that you do. It is about the discipline. It is about the daily things that guide you. So for you to appear authentic, for you to show up. So what are those um, tiny daily habits that you do? And it just starts from, even in terms of the time you wake up. What is your daily routine? What is your morning routine? What is it that you do? And that will be able now to guide how now you show up eventually. If any one of you has read the book Atomic Habits, they're those small habits that eventually become now part of you, that will be able now to guide you. And being felt for me, it's about authenticity. It has been about integrity, doing the right thing even when no one is saying. Remember, in life you have to be guided by principles, and it's all about what now wholesomely guides you now, in terms of what is your purpose, what is the impact that you want to live. So with that, if you're authentic, if you're guided by integrity in whatever you're doing, in terms of being disciplined and showing up consistently, so that people know, if it is Esther you are talking about, Esther will show up. Esther will not let you down. Esther will not back out the last minute. Esther will deliver with the timelines that you have guided. So all that will be able now to guide you to ensure that you felt there's an impact and you're living a purposeful life.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that was such an insightful way to start this section of being felt and being impactful. You have mentioned authenticity, discipline, your daily routines, and just to sum up what Esther has said, I'll just use the famous quote: habits make a man. So, how consistent you are, how disciplined you are, how your attitude will reflect to how you will impact yourself, not only yourself and communities or organizations or people around you, even in the small moments, not just the big moments. And just Isabella, adding on to what Esther has said, can someone be seen, can someone be heard and still not be felt? Like an empty debe just making noise.
Yes, thanks, Aline, and thanks, Esther, for defining integrity. I think you've defined that's a definition of integrity, and it's very important in the personal values and personal development. And my response for if somebody can be heard, can be seen, heard, but not felt, yes, because many professionals, especially as accountants, we are always perfect with budget presentation, clear numbers, and people will look at you, people will hear you as you present, but will they be felt? That is different. And my understanding, being felt is when people remember days later how you made them think, how you made them act. And I remember that example that I've given about the COVID-19 and just making that decisions, and I was being heard, and that I was being felt, because you're dealing with people. So it takes it takes a lot of work for somebody to make sure that she's being seen, because you can be seen hard, but you are not making impact. And so that is possible, Celine. And you cannot avoid that. It's only that you have to make sure that you have to make people remember that you were there, because visibility is an external voice, and voice is also always expressive, but being felt is relational, and it's earned over time. So it's a work in progress, the consistency that Esther has said. And if you refer to the chapter I mentioned, that the most lasting results emerge not from the spreadsheets, but from the trust that was built and maintained through honesty and inclusion. Thank you.
Awesome. That was such a perfect way to add on to what Esther has said. And you have mentioned trust, you have mentioned your own values and how you show up for people with the voice and the visibility you have as a leader, or even as someone who is not necessarily in a leadership position. Just to branch off a little bit, I've mentioned leadership. I remember when we are lead from within, and that will dictate the impact that you leave onto others. And thank you for that, Isabella. Now, both of you have mentioned things to do with one's character, and being authentic to yourself is very important. So, Lillian, what role does authenticity play in whether people truly feel you, truly feel your impact?
Can I say we are 99% there? You need to be authentic for people to really feel you. Let me put it like this. Those of us who watch movies, you can tell when an actor has done Botox on their faces. And the one thing you normally wonder is, you normally think about is, this one doesn't look real. And that's what authenticity is about. Are you real? Are you genuine? Are you true? Are you being felt? When I talk to you, do I actually hear you? When we are talking, are you hearing me, and am I hearing you at that deep level? And it's good that Isabella talked about being trusted, because for me, you are only felt when you're trusted. You cannot be felt if you're not trusted. And you can only be trusted if you're authentic. And you can only be authentic if you show up genuinely. You show up genuinely, and the rest will just fall into place. It becomes very, very easy. Thank you.
Wow. I love that you have said you can only be felt if you're trusted. And trust is not something easy to just get. You can't get it after like an hour, or you have to earn it, right? It doesn't come easily.
That's true.
So I want to pose a little impromptu question that has just popped up in my mind as Lillian has mentioned trust. So as leaders, as people who want to impact others, how do we earn trust? This is a free question, open question. How do we earn trust?
I think, let me go first. There's something that Esther mentioned. Reliability. For me, who works with teams in human resources, even when we are hiring the lowest of the lowest cadre of jobs, the one thing that we are normally looking for in an employee, forget skills, forget education, forget everything else, is usually reliability. When you say you come in at work at 8, are you there? When you say you will do something, do you actually do it? It's the simplest ways to earn trust, that you're reliable, that when you say you'll do something, you actually do it when you're supposed to do it and the way you're supposed to do it. Then the other thing is integrity. Doing the right thing even when no one is watching. I marvel at how if you go to any organization, you name it, any organization, one of the key values in that organization is usually integrity. Don't ask me why we are still struggling with the corruption in Kenya, but hey, story for another day. One of the key values is integrity. And as long as you're able to do the right thing, even when no one is watching, and you're reliable, I think that is a pathway to earning trust. Thank you.
That was such a good way to answer my question. And to Esther, do you agree, or I know you agree, obviously. Yes. Do you want to add on something to what yes, Lily Ann has mentioned that is different from what we've heard from her? And Isabella, you can listen in and see if you have anything else to add on my question. How can you earn trust as a leader or as an individual to be able to be impactful? And also, just to detour again, Lily Ann has mentioned corruption. And I'd also like to put in that right now, the state of our country is that we lack trust in our leaders. So this can also be a learning point for them. How do they earn trust? Esther, you're muted.
Sorry, just to add up to what she talked about, because it's just basically reliability and integrity. But reliability comes with, being consistent, just not a one-off event, because, impact's not an event. It's something that happens, a pattern. So the ability to show up consistently, so that means, that self-discipline should be top-notch. Thanks.
I think I will summarize because you've all mentioned about reliability, integrity, discipline. I'll just add honesty and also you've talked about, but then let's just take our normal example. For you to trust your partner or that parent and child relationship, there's always a safety. That the person that you trust needs to be somebody that doesn't put you at risk. So are you that person, a go-to person that somebody trusts, and at a time of crisis, then are you reliable, and you are always safe. So you have to create that environment that is safe when we sum up all those characters that we've mentioned. Thanks, Celine.
That was so insightful from you three all, and I know it was just a random question, but it's something that really keeps banging my head, and I could not have ended the session without asking. Now, what I'm getting from all of you is, one, how we see ourselves really matters. Two, how we show up for ourselves and for other people, our environments, our communities, our workplaces, even our communities that are religious, our faithful communities. And number three, how we are received by other people, be it our partners, our friends, our colleagues, our leaders, and children, and extended family. And I'll also continue to pose another question. This is something practical to offer to people who are listening in, people who are struggling to show up fully in either aspect of being seen, in either aspect of being heard, or in the aspect of making an impact. Where should they start? Because I would say you've conquered, or you've gone through it, so you're best to speak on it. So where would these people start from to be able to show up fully in the areas they're lacking? Isabella, we can just start with you.
Okay, I would say that somebody should start with starting small and not high stake, because it's not everything. As you don't try to just fix the visibility, voice, and impact at once, because the recipe is so overwhelming. So I would say that somebody should start with maybe one meeting this week, or ending a meeting, starting with a prayer, because it's that voice. When you just make your voice being heard, then it starts a conversation. And I've had a case. I remember last year when we were doing our AGM, we had like 350 delegates. And the chairman said the CEO has been doing a lot of opening remarks. At the closing dinner, it's you, Isabella, to do it. And I remember panicking. Okay, the good thing with me, I'm always confident in terms of when something is a challenge is put, even if I don't know, I'll always throw myself there so that I face the challenges and try to improve. And immediately I was able to liaise with my comms team to just come up with a quick opening remarks layout. Because it's when you're doing an opening remarks, there are always a guideline because you don't want to miss out on, especially the sponsors, recognizing the dignitaries and all that. And believe me, I walk up to the stage, I faced the 350 delegates. I told my team to record me, and when I came and heard my speech, I was so impressed. And that is the moment that I realized I need to go for a public speaking class, and I did it. So it's you start small. So it's been a journey that I'm always starting. I even told Celine how I was doing an MC to our member event, and I had to wake up for 30 to just keep recording myself many times so that I perfect it. So it's about starting small, but then there's an hard work of practicing. Yes.
Yeah, I remember Isabella's story, and I didn't feel shocked because we all do something when we are preparing for something for the first few times you're doing it. You have this anxiety, and I think it's perfectionism and self-critiquing a lot. You want it to be perfect, and I'll just reiterate what she has said: start small, practice a lot, and it will catch up on. And to the other ladies, where should people start when they want to show up fully, aside from starting small and practicing? We can have Liliane, and then Esther will close out on that question.
I love what Isabella has said. It's very true. You start small, and
Yeah.
even as you start small, start familiar. I normally tell people, you're having a problem with public speaking, start in church. For those of us who went to churches, the old churches, we would be given a chance to sing a song. And I remember somebody would say, please don't listen to my voice, listen to the words. In church, no one will judge you. Or rather, even if they judge you, well, yeah, it's church. So you're having a problem, start there. It's familiar. It's where you go every day. You know, you're having a family event. Offer to MC in that family event. It's your siblings, it's your auntie, your uncle, your grandmother. It's people who know you. So they will laugh at you, make fun of you for the rest of your life, but they do it in, okay, yeah, they're looking for content. They do it in love. So for me, yeah, start small, start familiar. And yes, as she said again, practice, which is something that Esther had also mentioned. You know, our politicians, when they start, if you've noticed, yes, they normally start shaking. Then before you know it, you're wondering, what? Is that the same person? You know? So it's because of practice. So yeah, so start small, start familiar, and practice. Thank you.
Awesome, Lily. And you've added one extra, start familiar, and I cannot agree with that. It's starting from a point of familiarity eases the tension, and I think you walk into it, you grow up into it, and then now you can expand your wings and do bigger and better. Let's have Esther Wamalwa.
Self-affirmation. Start with telling yourself you can do it. Yeah. Tell yourself you're a leader and you will be one. So
Yes.
with that, the courage comes. And as Lillian has said, starting, you can even be volunteering to be an MC in your family events, those annual family events that you have. That way you will gain the courage to now speak. Another thing is be intentional about making the presence. What am I talking about? Uh, be in these groups, be in professional professional groups, so it gives you a platform for you to be seen. I remember very well, I had a mentor some years ago and told me, Esther, when you attend a meeting, ensure that people know that you're there. How do you ensure you've attended an event? Ask a question. And by the way, you will have to stand to ask a question, and people will remember you. I'm blessed with the height. I'm about 6 feet tall, and let me tell you, in any event, I sit at the front. Why? At the front, you will have attention. I will know what keenly attend that particular, whether it is a conference, a workshop, whatever it is, I will be there. And let me tell you, by virtue that you're sitting in front, you will not, it will limit you walking in and out of the venue. So meaning you will be there. But the advantage it gives you is you will be present. And also it gives you access even to the speakers, even to the guests that are there. So that intentionality of you being in these spaces also gives you an edge over anyone else. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Esther. That was really motivating and inspiring. I hope that has gone handy to our audience who are listening to us. So I think this is an opportunity for us to get comments. Please channel your comments on the comment section, and we'll pick it up from there. As we move on to the closing round, I'd love to close with something personal. So right now in your life, uh, where are you where are you still learning to show up more fully? Esther, maybe we can begin with you.
Right now, I'm learning to show up in my full identity. Previously, I would show up as Esther, the head of finance, Esther, the CC, the title or my professional backup. But beyond that, who is Esther? Esther is this authentic, bold leader, and that is what I want to. I want to build up. It's about now moving on to the legacy. What is it? The legacy that I'm building, also the impact and living my purpose fully. I want to be known as a thought leader. I want to be known as this bold leader. I want to be to be known not just as a woman, but this transformational leader who was here and left her footprints in the right way. Thanks.
Thanks, Esther. Josephine, sorry.
Yes, you can pick it up, Isabella.
Okay.
You're
Okay, thanks, Esther. I wish you all the best as you pursue your identity. And for me, I would say that I realize that I'm good at my space where I work, like from work, doing this work-life balance from family, uh, running, supporting the CEO, running the association. But then sometime I'm this workaholic, and I remember in most cases I would want to be in control of things, but I realize that I'm just one person. And it's important to learn to say that I need to shout that I need help, so that other people can come in and help and guide you. So I'm learning to have that courage of speaking up and asking for that help, and not to be just in control of things. And also through that, also you delegate and empower other people to come to your space. So because you see, board leadership, it's still a continuous process. And also this space of speaking up, being heard, being felt, it's a work in progress. And I've taken the journey of pursuing my PhD in finance. It's a future that I don't know, but it's something that I'm pursuing to see where it's gonna take me. So yes, there's a lot, because growth is a work in progress. Every day we learn a new thing, and I'm always an open book and ready to learn every day. Thank you, Josephine.
Thank you, Isabella. As we move on to Lilian, yeah.
As Esther is working on her identity, and Isabella is working on asking for help or learning to ask for help, this week I was having a conversation with one of my associates, a client, and we talked about the way we light our candles and put them under the bed. I'm technically a very private person. And one of the things that I actually struggled with was writing bold moves, because I am feeling super exposed. But I've also realized that that candle under the bed, I will be accountable for putting it under the bed. And so I am learning to be accountable to others in terms of the things that I have gone through and what they could learn from what I have gone through, especially at this particular time of my life. Not being too young, there is a responsibility to make sure that the next generation either makes better decisions or are encouraged to go through what they are going through in life. So for me, it's just taking up that responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilian, for that insightful reflection of how you're taking things to still be bold and continue being the bold you. I think being bold is not an easy journey. It takes courage also here. So I think one step at a time. Yeah. We have questions coming in, and one from Lucy Carranza. She's asking, what separates a bold move that succeeds from one that fails? Did you hear that? Shall I repeat it?
I think I can take this one. Lucy, I should sign for you my book, at least my chapter, because actually my chapter is not about bold moves that succeeded. It's about bold moves redefined. A bold move does not mean that it will always succeed. There are times it will fail. And I'll take you back again to the Bible. Not all prophets prophesied and people of Israel did what they were supposed to do. In fact, part of the reason why those books are there is because in most cases, they're not, the children of Israel always failed. So bold moves is not just about success. There are times you will make that bold move. It's the move, it's the process of making that move that matters. Whether it fails or not is not yours. I honestly don't think it is yours. It is not yours. Yours is to make the bold move, to make that move, to make that decision to do something. What happens after that is, I think it is entirely not within your scope. Thank you. That's my view.
I don't know if there's someone else who needs to comment on that. Okay, we have another question from Rachel Gadoni. She has a question in situations where boldness, truth requires a painful pill to swallow. How does one address that in considering in a male-dominated work environment?
Please repeat the question.
Rachel is asking, in situations where boldness or truth requires a painful pill to swallow. So how does one address considering that you are in a male dominated work environment?
Maybe I can pick that. Okay, though, which I don't understand her context of a bitter pill, but what I've understood in terms of boldness, speaking the truth, and in a male-dominated, I think, male-dominated field or something like that. And appearing, when we talk about the bold move, is now moving beyond your gender. Remember, you are qualified as an individual. And I think we should shrug that identity of, trying to tag in the gender bit in everything, because you're equally qualified. You will find that you're equally qualified. So you are there in that position, in that space, in your right as a qualified person. And what guides you in terms of whatever decisions or what you need to do, as long as you're authentic, as long as you are factual, whatever you're saying, you can back it up. You can sustain a discussion when it's backed up by facts. So if you're factual, irrespective of whatever thing it is, remember, I even shared in terms of some decisions will not be comfortable. Some things you will say will not be comfortable. But remember, you are not there to be comfortable. You are there to make a contribution. You're there to add value, to give an impact. So don't always go with the status quo. And in terms of even some decisions, which definitely some decisions, and even as a leader, or even not as a leader, in any area of responsibilities, some of the decisions you will not agree. Not everyone will agree with your idea, and that's why the discussion is there. And more so, if you're a leader, you will not be popular. Not everyone will like you. And that's why there's this common adage which says that if you want people to like you, sell ice cream. But if you want to be a leader, and ensure that you want whatever decisions are made are decisions that are impactful, decisions that are able to make an impact and change the situation that you are in. Thanks.
I would add by saying also that one of the things that I've learned, I think I'm in that environment too, and sometimes they come with that force of slapping that on your face. And when you are smart and you see where you operate, there are always facts. The way Esther said, and facts here we are talking about operational manuals that are in place that you can always refer to. And then also, I've also learned this communication strategy called sandwich method, where you're saying the truth, but you're trying to cover it with a layer of bread. And the AI is good at it. So it's also us to challenge ourselves to approach that strategy, because sometimes we are all human beings. We react to, when you have the truth, it's always hard, and it's just to retract and just be smart and pass the message. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella, for that. Adding on to what Esther has said. Esther has said if you want to be liked so much, sell ice cream. And I believe that sums it up. Also, there's this thing that says you won't make everyone happy. Say the truth, and taking into consideration what Isabella has said, you can choose a better delivery of how to do it. Nobody does not want the truth. Usually, sometimes it's delivered in it's either malicious or a mean way, so you can choose better ways to do it. And also, just amping up what Esther has said, do not use the status quo of male and women. If you're in an environment and you're there, you deserve to be there. Like Isabella said, she was alone in a boardroom as the only female, and she did speak. She did say something very valuable. So do not dismiss or limit yourself to what potential you have to be. And speaking of potential, there's this quote that says, or I believe it's one of the ladies during this conversation said that people are not afraid of are not afraid of doing it. They're afraid of the potential they have. They're afraid of the limits they can reach or they would want to reach. So do not limit yourself. Do not be afraid of the potential that you have. And this has been such an insightful, very knowledgeable conversation that we've had. And I know there will never be enough time to speak on how to be bold, to speak on how to be impactful, to speak on how to improve and amp up your voice or to be visible. So, we have a launch coming up, and let me give this chance to our ladies, our authors, our co-authors of the book Bold Moves. I believe you have seen it. It's a very, very beautiful book, very beautiful book, and it speaks to our daily lives. It speaks to experiences that we've had. So let me allow the ladies to welcome you as they put out their closing statements, welcome you to the launch, and uh, um, encourage you to get a copy of this book. So we'll just start off with Isabella and then Esther and close out with Lily Ann.
Thank you all for joining us. It's been an exciting conversation. I have a lot of takeaways, and I'm thinking that you should request Mr. Dozo to have another whole book of showing up fully, because we have a lot of insights. It's been a great opportunity to co-panel with you ladies, and I hope it's just the beginning. We'll have various conversations, and it's because of a project that was initiated late last year that, as co-authors, we've written our experience in that book, each chapter with different nuggets of wisdom on how to shape our lives, our career, and leadership. And we are so excited to welcome everyone to join us on 8th of May at Trademark Hotel as we come and celebrate these confident and bold moves that we've taken, where we've written our experiences. And I just want to welcome everyone to come and join us on Friday. We'll be so glammed up, so don't miss out. Let's take these bold moves together. Thank you.
Bold moves. I think this is a discussion that can even take days. We've if you were to share our stories, all our stories, I think will stay here for days. And what an amazing and golden opportunity that we've all had. We have through this book, The Bold Moves, where 10 amazing ladies share their stories. We all know that no one has monopoly of ideas, and we can always learn from people who have gone before us, or people who have been in spaces where either we will head there or we are there, and what they did, so that you don't think that maybe whatever you are going through is an isolated case. So mine is to invite all of us to attend the launch, where all of us, the amazing ladies, are going to share their stories, their bold moves. As Lillian has said, not all bold moves turn out to be successful. But the beauty about it is that there are lessons that can be learned. And that you can be able to get a thing or two that will enrich your career, will enrich your personal life. As we all purpose to do is to have impactful lives, to live our purpose, and most importantly and unapologetically, to live bold and make bold decisions that are impactful to us and to the people that we serve. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more, Esther and Isabella. It's we are so used to buying books from authors abroad, trying to solve some of the challenges that we have. And I thank Zao Pal for this opportunity to basically, give solutions or even just give ideas, to show people, what, we've been here and we made it. African problems can only be solved by Africans in Africa. So yes, for all our listeners, karibuni sana. Friday, 8th May at 2 p.m. You cannot be anywhere else, people. You just need to come to the Trademark Hotel. Please come. You're invited. Celine has already put for you the registration link. Please register. You have a special invitation from 3 of the authors. We are 10 of us. 3 have already invited you. If you ask the accountants, we have 2 here. That is a good number. 30%. That's a very good number. You have to just come. And just to end, I would want to just tell you, however scared you are, and the more scared you are, the more the reason why you should show up, you should speak up, and you should level up the art of doing it afraid. Make that bold move. Thank you.
That was awesome, marvelous. I couldn't add more, but I'd like to give an opportunity to one of our co-authors. We've had a couple of them in here, but they have dropped off. So we have another one. Her name is Jennifer. Jennifer Mwindi. Jennifer Nasser and Mwindi, if you can hear me, I would really love for you to say hi and just appreciate the ladies for this wonderful session, and also just to thank you for being present here. Hi, Jennifer. Okay. When she's ready to speak, I'll just hear her. She has a very, very distinctive voice. So allow me to also just amp up what the ladies have said and continue to invite you all to the launch. First, before I do that, I'd just like to thank the authors and the panelists for what they have put in us, for what they have poured into our minds. It has been such a powerful and honest conversation. And if there is one thing to take away this night, it's showing up fully is not about perfection. It's about courage, intentionality, consistency, and courage specifically to be seen when it feels uncomfortable, to speak even when your voice shakes, and live in a way that people don't just notice you, but truly feel your presence. And to everyone who has joined us, thank you so much for your time, your attention, your openness, and engagement with us. Seeing you ask questions and comment on what we are discussing on, it's such a joy to us as hosts and the ladies themselves, because it means that someone is listening and someone felt impacted with what they have said. And just let me reiterate, thank you so much. And now let me head on to invite you officially. I'll be the 4th person. Now that is 40%. Let me invite you to the official book launch of Bold Moves, happening on the 8th of May 2026. It's a Friday from 2 p.m. It will be at Trademark Hotel Village Market. We would love to see you all there to celebrate these great achievements. These remarkable ladies who are stepping out into the open and talking of what their bold moves have been. So kindly, the link has been shared with you all. Click on that link to register, to attend. And if you'd like to interact with a copy of the book, let me show you the book again so that you see how lovely it is. Yes, if you would like to interact with a copy of the book, click the second link and you will be taken to our local bookstore link and you'll have access to a copy of the book, and we'll really, really, really appreciate. With that being said, let me just say, be bold, think boldly, speak boldly, and strive to be seen and be impactful in your life and everyone else around you. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a lovely evening and a good weekend ahead. Thank you.